All right, what up, everybody? This is Jeremy with Escape Velocity Trading coming at you for another market bias update report for Sunday, May 11th. Sorry for the raspy voice. I am recovering from a cold over the last 4 or 5 days here and just not quite right, and my vocal cords are somewhat paralyzed. I've been going in and out of losing my voice, but I will keep this nice and short. Still wanted to jump in and share my thoughts on the week ahead with you guys. Anyways, without further ado, let's dive in. Looking at our trading stats from last week to start off, ended up having 8 trades, including 7 wins and 1 loss. Ended up having a total gain of $12,160 for last week's trading. So, going out and looking at the market coming up this week. Starting off on the SPY, the S&P 500 here. If we zoom in a little bit on this, you can see we have taken a little bit of time off. Last week, I called for some consolidation within the range of this 200 period moving average in gray and this 50 period moving average in red. We have got that, but our RSI is still showing really, really overextended. And if we zoom back out, looking at the 1 year's price data here, every time we have had that RSI come up into this 85 to 90 level, we have seen price go sideways and chop for a little bit until that came back down. If we come back out over here in September of last year, come back up to the chart, we went sideways for a couple days, pulled back into moving averages before resuming higher. Again, going out into August, same exact thing. Let me get rid of the alerts here so you can see it. But in August, we came up and ended up going sideways and then pulling back to allow that RSI to reset. Same exact thing on both of the remaining 2 times earlier last year as well. So, since we are in that level, history tends to repeat itself, right? So, we can look at this and assume that we probably still need time off in the market and or a slight pullback into that 50 period moving average before the bulls are really going to come in with any kind of force. If we take this out to a weekly chart and look at it, this tells us a little bit different story. Our RSI is recovering out of the bearish territory. It is still in technically bearish territory, but it has crossed out of the oversold territory, I guess you should say. And our MACD is crossing bullishly, but still in bearish conditions below the zero line. So when this blue line gets above the yellow line, the signal line there, that tells us that the MACD is signaling that improved momentum and improved price action might be coming, but it is still below zero, which is technically in bearish territory. So to me, using that and combining that with the weekly moving averages here and the daily moving averages, this looks to me like we are probably going to see chop between somewhere around 572 on the top end and down to probably around 550 or 555 on the bottom end. I would not be surprised to see this week stay completely within that range and just chop back and forth a little while longer. Now, with that said, if we chop for the first half of the week, this RSI does come down a little bit, and then we get a price pop and we pop back up above that 572, 573 zone here. I will be interested in playing that to the top side, but I am not expecting that. I am expecting either a slight pullback this week or just more neutrality. If we go out to the triple Q, basically the exact same thing. So let's toss this back out to a 1 year chart, and you can see our RSI on the daily chart here again. Each time we've come up into those levels, we've gone sideways for at least a few days and allowed that to cool off a little bit before getting that continued momentum. Here again, we popped up, we got these high RSI values, and then we had that pullback back down into moving averages. So again, looking at this zoomed in, we are pressing right up into a really important resistance zone around 495. I will be surprised if we move higher than that and close above 495. If we get a wick up above it, that's not going to surprise me. But if we close above that zone this week, that will surprise me. My base case is probably chopping between that 495 and down to probably 472 or something on the Nasdaq. Going out to IWM. IWM pushing up into resistance here as well. I'm going to call that probably 203 to 203.75, somewhere right in there. Again, RSI is overextended. Rinse and repeat the exact same conversation that we've just had on the other two indexes. And if we go out to the Dow Jones, Again, RSI on the daily chart overextended looking at that, but we are sitting right on top of the 50 period moving average and the 9 EMA and have a little bit of distance here on the Dow Jones up to that 200 period moving average. So on this one, even though the RSI is overextended right now, I would be a little more tempted to say that this thing has a little bit of a range and might wiggle its way up to that 420, 421 zone before it gets smacked back down. And then we'll spend the rest of the week probably just trading within this range between 420, 421, and then down to about 410 or 408, somewhere right in there on the downside. Not going to go through all the sectors this week just because my voice is raspy and you probably don't want to listen to it. And it is starting to ache a little bit. But overall, I think this week is probably a pause week, more sitting on our hands than anything else. Or if nothing else, just doing quick in and out day trades. Probably not a swing trading environment because I really don't see prices going very far this week. Last but not least, before we get out of the charts, I did actually want to go out and look at IBIT just for Bitcoin real quick because momentum has started in this area of the market again. If we zoom in, we can see we have broken back out of this consolidation pattern, broke out, and we are just a stone throw away from all-time highs on IBIT. I am not super interested in playing that last little push here on IBIT. I think more consolidation and allowing the RSI to reset is needed on IBIT. But if we go out to BitX, which is a two times volatility ETF on Bitcoin, we can see here that it still has quite a bit of distance to get from its current price up to all-time highs around 72.80. And I think that there is a momentum catch-up trade on this. It is a two times Bitcoin ETF. And basically, it needs momentum to build before momentum will actually show up in the chart. So if IBIT's momentum is pushing to all-time highs, this one is going to lag. And it is really, really fascinating to me to watch the differences between Bitcoin itself and IBIT and BitX with this 2x strategy that they do on a daily basis. So I am expecting continued momentum in BitX, probably ending the week somewhere around $60 is my guess. So another 8 points above where we are, representing about 13% gain. So I am very, very interested in seeing BitX price appreciation this week and next. Last but not least, let's go out and look at our Forex Factory and heat map. Starting off on our heat map, this is a 1 week performance looking at the S&P 500 for the last trading week. And you can see healthcare got just knocked right in the teeth. Communications got dragged down mostly by Google and some legal issues that they have been facing around anti-competition practices that they had had and things linked to Apple, which also got hit on the chin this last week. Everything else seemed to have a pretty good time, and I am expecting stability again coming into the week ahead. Going out, last but not least, to our Forex Factory. This is looking at our economic data for the week ahead. Monday and Wednesday, nothing really significant to report, but Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, we have a whole score of different reports. You can see them here. I'm not going to read them off, but trade safe. Make sure you know when these economic reports are coming out. Most of them are coming out in the early morning at 5:30 a.m. before trading actually starts. On Friday is the only day that we're going to have stuff coming out after the bell for opening trading. So with that, guys, trade safe as always. Let me know if you have any questions. Hit me up in the comments if you need any help, and like and subscribe and share. Would really appreciate it. Talk to you guys next week.